In this video, I will try to show you how StudyLab helps you make sense of what's going on in your class, what's going on across your class, what's going on with individual students, and how would you use that information to make the best choices for how you're going to teach, how you're going to assess, and all that. So I must admit there is a lot, but let's see what we can get through. So first, we'll start from your dashboard, where if I clicked on a class, I would see a class card. So this is just one gold mathematics. And these bar charts show how much work has been done within a period. So this period right now is this week. And so it shows that there have been 8 questions answered, and this is the percentage of correct questions that have been answered. And this shows the ranking across all other schools that use StudyLab that have just one mathematics. So you can see that you are in the 83rd percentile. Okay, so if you wanted to increase your view, you may say, okay, what has been done this session, for instance, and then it gives a much larger picture of what has been done from the beginning of the session, which is in September, all the way to now. And so you can see the number of questions answered, how many have been correct, and all that. Okay, so that's one way to do it, and you can do it across all your classes. Now let me just sneak into a student's account and show you a few things. So we could see that number one, a student can do a quiz, which is from your school. They can also do quizzes from other partners and from StudyLab. They can come into what we call the study mode, and they can do general exercises. So it's just like you have a textbook and you finish a topic and the student goes to the back of the textbook and is able to do normal questions and answers. So you can do this. So for instance, in say sequences and series, a student can do questions in sequences or in series or in arithmetic progression or in nth term or what have you. And usually in a textbook they would have the final set of questions that combine all of these skills, which we call the topic finale. So there are 15 questions here, for instance, that are basic, and then 15 intermediate, and then there are even advanced questions, and all these mean different things. If a student does basic questions and he gets it at a rate of 70%, we say that he has closed his gaps and he has understood the basics. But if he fails it, we say he has gaps. If he does the intermediate questions and passes it, then we'd say he has shown mastery. All right, and these advanced are for the really top guys. So students do all this just like a normal everyday exercise, and the exercises here are gathered from, they are just aggregated from the question bank. Okay. Thirdly, a student can decide to do what we call the exam mode, and this is probably usually for the exam classes. So a student could decide to take WAEC and just do say 2008 WAEC mathematics and start. So these are 3 things that students can do, and they all give a different picture with regards to the individual performance or the class performance of the students. So let me get back here. Now, if students do questions, from the study mode, which is like everyday exercises, then that analysis shows up in what we call the competences. All right, so there are a set of topics here, okay, that are based on what the curriculum has, on what the teacher has set in the curriculum. All right, so if I click a particular topic, it shows a topic, but inside this topic we know that there are skills. So I could now select this drop down, and I may want to see what has been done, on a particular skill set. So it shows me the performance summary for all the students. So this is across a class now. Aggregate summary across the class, performance summary, aggregate summary, and then what your rank is. But it also shows the different students and whether they have gaps or whether they have achieved basics and whether they have achieved mastery. So this helps the teacher to know what the class has been able to achieve on a topic-to-topic basis and what the student has been able to achieve on a topic-to-topic basis. But if we go to quiz reports, now all the quizzes that you publish and for all the exam practice that the student does, it shows up here. And so you would select the class you're interested in, and then all the quizzes and practice that the students have done would show up here. And so you can select a particular quiz, all right? And then you would see an analysis. So you have what they call the global average. So for instance, if it's a quiz that everybody across all the schools do, there will be a global average. Then there will also be your school average. And sometimes the global average can be equal to your school average if the quiz has only been done by your school. And of course, there's a class average. That would also now show you how students fare across, from 0 to 39, from 40 to 44, like you have A, B, C, D, E, F, and all that. So you would just have a breakdown that can help you analyze this particular quiz. You could also have a breakdown on a learning objective level, because quizzes sometimes go across topics and across learning objectives. So this panel gives you how the students have fared from learning objective to learning objectives. And then finally, you will now have the table containing the students and then their performance from question to question. So you'll be able to select a question and then see how the students have fared across these questions. All right, one last thing is that on a question bank, for instance, let me remove this, let me clear all filters. There are widgets that appear across each question, okay? Now you could see this question, for instance, it says that you have had 224 attempts this session, all right? And this just shows that if you wanted to use this particular question in the quiz, you need to know that some students have already attempted it, all right? But at the same time, I could easily make a selection. Let's say I selected differentiation, for instance, okay? Now, when I see this button, right, and I click this button, I can see how students in a particular class have performed based on this filter. So if I say SS3 Gold, for instance, I would see, based on how many students have done questions in differentiation, what they have been able to achieve here. And I can see that. Now, even if I decide to select differentiation that is just JAM questions, all right, I can still now pick this and then I will see how students in SS3 Gold have performed.